Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, clinical somatic educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back. Now in this episode, we're going to look at how we can release your tight hips and your back without stretching. And the reason for this is that, as you may already be aware, that in September, I'm going to be holding the theme of Somatic in September, and we're going to be focusing on one of the Total Somatics digital courses, which is called Release Tight Hips and Back. And if you'd like to be part of this, where I'm going to be coaching and supporting and answering your questions each week regarding each of those 4 modules, and we can do this on Zoom. If you can't watch me live on Zoom, you'll get the replay. If you go to totalsomatics.com, click on the shop page, and then the very first course that you'll see there is called Release Tight Hips and Back. If you purchase that course, you get to keep it for life. And also, because you purchased it, you will be sent the Zoom invitation or the Zoom replays during September. So you can ask me questions, or you can just watch how we explore and create adaptations to some of those movements to suit everybody. But in the meantime, let us now consider how we can release your tight hips and back without stretching. Now, as you know, in Total Somatics, we're all about updating your software, and your software is what communicates to your muscles to tell them when to contract and when to relax. So we know that your software is your brain. So your brain is the command center for everything. That is what is controlling your muscle behavior. You see, movement is medicine. And through movement and specific brain training techniques that we use within Total Somatics, we can start to reverse those repetitive behavioral patterns or those habits that have come across, and they've changed your posture. They've created maybe an injury, or maybe you get recurring injuries. Maybe, again, it's post-operative. The way that you were moving and standing post-operative has left its mark a little bit. Or maybe it's stress and anxiety. You see, all of these aspects start to pattern tension in your body, and stretching is not going to address those issues. Whereas when we use a specific technique called pandiculation, it's a 3-step process. It's far superior to stretching. And I want to share why that is the case today. Because when we're working with your muscles, we're wanting to allow them to heal and rehabilitate. And I want to just debunk a few issues that people talk about with stretching. I want to show you the research in why stretching really isn't very efficient for your muscles. It's not going to do much for the power output and strength of your muscles. Whereas when you hear the experts and basically the stress patterns that are created through stretching, you'll see why pandiculation is really the way forward, because we are staying up to date with neuromuscular science. So let me share this with you first of all. When we injure muscles, or when we injure our tendons, people think that we should stretch them. And that may be the advice that you've been given in the past. But you see, when we have an injured tendon or we have injured muscles, they actually elongate. And yet what we need to do is, when they're injured, we need them to be held together. You see, your muscle fibers, your fascia, your connective tissue, they all need to be held back together. Because the muscle fibers that are impacted by this are called sarcomeres, and they actually need to join back together to heal up. So if you're constantly stretching an area, trying to get that range of movement back, it's not going to happen. Because we need to allow those muscles to knit back together. They need to line back up together. They need to heal back up. And they can only heal them by allowing them to stay close together. So that's where we can speed up that healing process. You see, I've seen people over the years that have stretched and stretched and stretched. And what they've actually done is they've weakened their muscles and their muscle fibers. Because what they've also done is they've weakened the tendons. And remember, the tendons are what connect muscle to bone. And so when we weaken your tendons, what starts to happen is people then end up with recurring injuries, because the injured area never actually is allowed time to heal, because it's constantly being stretched, it's being pulled apart. And remember, we need them to line up and heal up together. So that's why people start to re-injure themselves, and they have a lot of difficulty with healing because of this theory that they've been told to stretch. And also, static stretching. So that's when we hold a stretch for like 20 to 30 seconds. It doesn't prime your muscle, which is what people have often said it will do. It actually weakens it. And at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, they actually got athletes, and they looked at athletes, and they noticed that athletes actually generated less force from their leg muscles after static stretching than if they didn't stretch at all. And they also had other studies, and these studies showed that stretching will decrease muscle strength by as much as 30%. And these researchers, again, they also suggested there is a reason why there's this weakening. And they said it's that when someone stretches their leg muscles, it can actually reduce the strength in the other leg as well. And they're saying it's highly likely because the central nervous system rebels against this movement. And the scientific reason for this is because they say that there is a neuromuscular inhibitory response to static stretching. And so the straining muscle becomes less responsive, and it stays weakened for up to 30 minutes after stretching. So can you see why now, when we stay up to date with the science, we're realizing that belief systems of stretching were from like decades ago? And with neuromuscular research and science, we can see now why. When we stay up to date with how our health and well-being is, we realize that movement truly is medicine, and in particular, the process called pandiculation. And I'd like to share with you in the very next episode the process of pandiculation and why it is so far superior to stretching. And also, if you want to experience the power of pandiculation, you can join me in September for Somatic in September, when we're going to delve into the digital program within Total Somatics called the Release Hips and Tight Back series. And again, if you want to join me for this and experience the power of pandiculation, where we're going to release your tight hips and back without stretching, but increasing better muscle memory and also resilience within your mind and body, please join me. And you can join me by going to totalsomatics.com, click on the shop page, and then the very first digital program is called Release Tight Hips and Back. If you purchase that, you will automatically be invited into the special event for September, whereby every week I will delve into one of those 4 modules and answer your questions and look at other ways that we can pandiculate your tight hips and back. And so I look forward to seeing you. So if you've purchased it in the past, you will automatically be involved. If you're a Total Somatics member, you are automatically included because you'll find it in the bonus section within the membership. But if you haven't got either of those so far, you can join today. Go to totalsomatics.com, click on the shop page, and then purchase the Release Hips and Tight Back series. And I will see you very soon on explaining why pandiculation is so powerful and so much more effective. See you soon, all my love. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.